Hey, what's going on, Colorado? Thanks for joining me here. I got to tell you, I am very excited for today's segment. I've been anticipating doing something like this going back since this summer. So appreciate you taking a few minutes to jump in with me here. I'm Aaron Johnson coming to you live from Castle Rock for a special Colorado Gives Day segment. And uh, my goal here is to spotlight organizations that are helping children in our community. And, you know, with Colorado Gives Day, it's Tuesday, December 7th. So we're right in that window for giving. And the good news is there is 3,000 nonprofit charitable organizations that you can give to across Colorado. The trouble is there's 3,000 charitable and nonprofit organizations that you can give to. There's so many, maybe it's a little difficult to decide where to give if you're interested, and I hope that you are. My goal here is to help eliminate the overwhelm and help point you in the direction of a really great organization that is helping children, and that is Project PAVE. And here in a moment, Adam Evans, the executive director of Project PAVE, is going to join me here and share about the work that his nonprofit is doing to help end the cycle of violence, and doing so by helping kids in our community develop healthy relationships, and really understand how to get along with their friends, get along with the adults around them. And I think they have a really great mission and doing great work, and wanted to feature them here. So if you would help join me in welcoming Adam Evans, the executive director of Project PAVE. Adam, how are you doing this afternoon?
Hey, Aaron, I'm doing great.
Good.
Thanks so much for having me on your program.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate your time. So, like I said, I've been looking forward to this opportunity, and building towards Colorado Gives Day. And when I've learned about the work that Project PAVE is doing, and you guys came very highly recommended from a friend and a colleague of mine. I thought, you know what, this is exactly what I want to do here on this channel, and highlight people like yourself and organizations like yours that are helping in our state, helping make a difference. And as I say, elevating Colorado, right? I mean, we live in a great state, and we have a great community, but want to make sure people are focused on the good things that are going on here. So let's dive in here a little bit, and just
Sure.
at a high level, can you share about Project PAVE, the work that you guys are doing, and a little bit about yourself?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I love the visual of elevating
Mm,
Colorado, and I think we are
thank you.
really fortunate to be in a state where it is a very giving state. If we look at kind of giving levels across the country, folks in Colorado are usually in the top 10 in terms
Wow.
of individuals and in terms of businesses, communities that give. And so I feel really fortunate to live in Colorado where that's part of our value. And Colorado being one of the first states to implement something like Colorado Gives Day coming up, as you were identifying. So it's really a wonderful place to be in and have that being part of our community value. So as Project PAVE, we hope to honor that value of um, supporting where folks live and work and the young people that are connected to them through our mission, which is empowering youth to end violence by building healthy
Mm,
relationships. So when we talk about healthy relationships, we're talking about dating relationships, relationship
mm,
with friends, with family, with others, because that's core to every person. When we think about all of us have relationships, and I've never met anybody that I've talked with and haven't posed this question to you just yet, Aaron,
sure.
but wouldn't say, hey, I've got some room to grow on how I relate to other people, or I've got some areas that I want to get better in, or I've got some areas that I've got questions about. And even as we keep going down that road of areas that I've got a lot of concern about, whether it's for young people that I know, whether I'm a parent and it's about my kids, or whether I hear about things that are going on in the community, I want to be able to do something about that. And so that's where PAVE stands, in terms of our mission, connecting to young people within our community. So at the core, we're a
Mhm.
violence prevention organization. So when people think about concerns around violence within the community, we want to be in those places where young people are, to help them build those skills of healthy relationships so we can prevent violence from happening. So we're trying to get as far up the stream as we can. And we've identified, not just us, but within the community, we've identified a number of areas that young people really want growth. They really want some place to be able to unpack and to build some skills to have healthy relationships, and not a lot of places where they get that. We've got lots
Mhm.
of avenues for folks to get other types of education, but it really is kind of lost in some ways in the community around how do young people build skills for healthy relationships? Where do we find those? What are our models for those? And some folks have great models. I
Yeah.
feel pretty fortunate about some of the models that I've had. But even within that, there's things that I've wanted to grow and develop that are different than the models that I've seen in relationships. So we get to places where young people are at. And I love that you've pulled up the Gives Day page for us. Some of those
Yeah.
young people on there are youth educators team from this past year. They're high school students who get trained on aspects of healthy relationships and do peer education with their peers, with middle schoolers, with high schoolers around the Denver metro area, where they are able to talk about what does it take to have a healthy relationship, helping young people to ask those questions for themselves. What are your values? What would you like to see happen? How do you know that you're in something that's a healthy relationship? How do you improve upon behaviors that maybe aren't so healthy, or identify those things that aren't working for you or working for other people? So that's where we start, is with that kind of conversation. And everywhere we go, whether it's in a classroom setting or a community center or a football field or wherever, we go all over metro area with lots of different groups of young people. That's the model that we come in with, is to say, we want to open up some dialogue. We want to ask you some questions
Mhm.
related to relationships, related to your identity, and to get you thinking. We want this to be an honest place. We're not going to shame anybody, no matter what your thoughts or beliefs
Okay.
are.
Yeah.
We just want to enter those conversations, and we find that young people are ready for them. They're wanting them.
Yeah, that's great. And to answer your question, you asked is one thing that I've noticed just as an adult, right, over the last almost 2 years around COVID, as people have been more restricted and been working from home, and I've been fortunate in having the ability to mostly work from home over the last year and a half and 2 years. But even as an adult, I see that the I guess lack of human connection with other people around our community through work, through social engagement, go through church-based activities, whatever it is. People are involved in community organizations. Um, Now that we've been getting back into the world and connecting with people, it feels different in a lot of ways,
Mhm.
right? And I'm coming at that now as a I hate to say it, a middle-aged man, but it's
I'm with
it's
you. I'm with you.
reality, so just accept it. But so I can only imagine for a kid, a teenager, a kiddo, what that's like for them. And we have kids at our house. I'm a father of four, and so how we navigate that. We're working on that with our kids, trying to find them social outreach opportunities. So yeah, the work that you guys are doing, and that's a small sliver of it, but it's encouraging to hear about what Project PAVE is doing, and not just building healthy relationships. In those ordinary social circumstances, but even
Yeah.
more challenging, I guess, more challenging environment where you have violence and safety
Mhm.
going on. Yeah.
Right. No, I love your awareness, Aaron, in terms of the weird season that we are
Yeah.
in and have
Yeah.
been in for months and months. And when we look ahead, don't necessarily see that end coming.
Right.
Are we in this like total adjustment, like this is the way it's going to be? Or are we in this just endurance place where, hey, we're going to be able to see things change in the near future? We just don't know. And that's a really tough place for adults to make decisions, but you identified it. So, how do young people make decisions
Mm.
within that? And, oh, we might be in school this week, but something happens and we're away
Sure.
from that. My friends that I used to have, gosh, what was that, a year and a half ago? Are they still my friends when we're coming back
Right.
in? Those dating relationships I was in before, can we do a Zoom date kind of thing, which wasn't even in our consciousness back when you and I were kids.
Right, right.
But now that's there, and it's
Sure.
real. So they're having to make those decisions in a topsy-turvy kind of environment where we don't even have the same kind of guidance that we would love to give, to say, I can point back to what this was like for me.
Sure.
I can say, yeah, when we met our first pandemic is yours, kids. We're going through all of this together. So I think what we are seeing in our conversation. So I'll just give you the example of one
Please.
recently with some young people. Was in context of our True Man program, and I'll
Hmm.
share with you a little bit more about it. But that program in particular is focused in on young men who are middle school, high school age, but we started with middle school aged young men and the mentors who are connected to them. So we're really grateful for a partnership with the Denver Broncos, and they've
Wow.
sponsored a youth football league for the last several years called Futures Football, and they were looking to build in some more character development work within, because they knew part of why they were wanting to help support youth football was the desires these coaches would have of the young people saying, hey, we want to be able to develop leaders. We want to give people opportunity to learn what it means to be on a team, to grow and develop and have good, solid foundational experiences with other young men. And part of that means we need to talk through some things, and we don't have the language to do all of that. We
Hmm.
might have language as a coach to be able to encourage, and to the best coaches have that. And that's why they're in coaching. But they reached out to us, and we said, we'd love to be able to have some conversation with young people, particularly around like what those messages that come in around what it means to be a man. Those unwritten rules that are out there, those things that are said to us or maybe not said to us. And all of us have to make some decisions along the way about what masculinity, what manhood looks like for us. And so we said, yeah, we're game. Let's get in. Let's have the conversations, particularly with young people who are coming together around an activity that's pretty historically a masculine, macho kind of activity, football. Let's
Yeah.
grind it out together. Um, Young people are attracted to those places for a lot of different reasons. And we thought, what a great place to have those conversations. And what we found in some of our early conversations, we're going on our seventh year with the Broncos doing that
Cool.
particular program.
Okay.
And I can tell you where it's leading for us now about creating some additional programming. But I'll just share briefly in terms of the story. When we started out that program, we walked into one of our first practices with a group of young people, so middle schoolers and their middle school football players and their coaches that were there. And we started talking with them about a few things related to their questions about what it means to be a man. And I will never forget, there was a man at the back of the room, one of the coaches that was there, that's kind of watching his face change over time. That was kind of
Hmm.
more starting an inquisitive kind of place, and then moving more towards a, whoa, this is an opportunity kind of look on his face. And he
Cool.
shared from the back of the room saying, there's something I need to share with y'all. When I was your age, I was really interested in medicine stuff. I loved the doctor shows. I loved, the learning more about bodies and how they worked and all that kind of stuff. But I knew I wasn't going to be a doctor or anything. And I became a nurse. That's professionally what I do. I've been coaching with you all for a long time, and you all don't even know that. My other coaches don't even know that. And I've been thinking about, why don't I share that?
Right.
Why is that something we shared? And that launched into a dialogue about those unwritten rules about, hey, what is okay for a man to do, or a real man or a true man to do, and
Sure.
what things it's not okay to do. And when we ask young people about those things that they really see as important to masculinity or being a man, they're really things that you could say are pretty universal for people of being a true self,
Sure.
true to themselves, whatever it is, your thing that you're into. It's medicine, it's nursing, you're really into monster trucks, you're into football, you're into ballet, you're into whatever you are. Your thing is what it should be. And that freedom opening up within a group of middle school football players just confirmed to us that, hey, these
Hmm.
conversations are ones that young people don't get a chance to have in a safe way, where they're not feel like they're going to be shouted down or forced into a box that they can't live inside. And all of us little or older middle schoolers putting ourselves back in those places, saying,
Right.
hey, what were the messages for me back in there? Really embracing this opportunity. Hey, if we have these conversations, we're going to be more supportive of each other. We're going to know better how to work through our emotions about
Hmm.
things. So one of the messages we get a lot as men is that there's a couple avenues. You can be happy, you can be angry about things. And
Right.
if your emotions as you have right now, if you can't route those into one of those two, you're in a frustrated place. but expanding what that needs to be for young people, because we experience the whole gamut of emotions. All men do. So talking through gender identity and, those kinds of issues with young people has really been productive. So that's just something that gets me excited thinking about how that connects to our overall mission of preventing violence. 95% of the violent acts that are committed that we have on record via our criminal justice system are committed by men.
Mm-hmm.
That's been in Colorado for decades, for eons. We probably look through millennia. We would say that 95%, and that doesn't change as we go across our country, doesn't change as we go across city, rural, big city, whatever it be. Men are primarily the ones who have the biggest hand in perpetrating violence.
Yeah.
So if we focus in on where men get those messages that violence in any form is okay, or this form or this avenue, we've got some chance to really make up some really solid ground on reducing violence within our community. So we found that young people dig it. They're really excited about having those conversations. They want to build each other up. They want to be given permission by other men to do that. So that's been starting to grow for us, and we've focused a lot of our time and energy that way. And this year, are piloting a new program for us that's our corollary to those programs. Not to get too much, it's got to be one way or another, but it's our Brave Woman program that we've started that is coming along with it. So
tell us about Brave Woman.
Yeah, for sure. So we had the question early on, why do we focus in so much on young men? And I think we had some really solid reasons why to start there. Like what I just articulated.
You got to start somewhere.
Relative to the number, we had to start somewhere, and where we figured we could have some of the biggest ground. And to be really honest, there's been a lot of some good support for young women around identity, but some of that has really been focused on how do you keep yourself from being victimized? How do you keep yourself safe? And not the message that we want to be able to send to young women in particular around your own identity of who you are and building up your strengths. It's been more around, hey, we got to keep these men or young men from doing these things, and young women, this is how you keep yourself safe. But that's not true self-building. And so as we kept continuing to have these conversations, there are more and more women and young women who are saying, we want the parallel, because all of us contribute to a culture where violence can be accepted. And all of us can contribute to a culture where violence is going to be reduced, that we're going to take responsibility as individuals and as a collective to say we want to do things differently. And young women have a place in this too. So we've started this year piloting. We were able to bring on Molly Putnam, which is a fantastic young leader in our community who's helping us build out pieces of our program that we're going to be working with different pockets of young women around the Denver metro area, of having similar conversations with them. What messages do you get? What things give you life, help you to identify where your strength is? What things hold you back? What kind of things can we do as a community to support women in their relationships and get out of some of the patterns that can be really hyper-focused in on a dating relationship or on a relationship with a man, whatever that is, whether it's a parental or whatever relationship it is, to build up young women in similar ways that we're trying to build up young men. So we think those two things working together. And for folks that might be concerned about, hey, this is really a binary kind of approach. It's like there's men and there's women. We leave a lot of space in there for people to identify as they need to. We don't look at gender as a binary thing. We really do look at it in ways of saying, we want folks to walk out of our programs with an identity relative to true self. We start with where our culture is, where we have been historically, but we could talk about these conversations with anybody, wherever they're coming from. That's just our place to start. And we hope that we end up with this concept of I'm walking out a little bit more, knowing a little bit more about who I am as an individual, as a person.
Good. Okay. Yeah. And it sounds like you're teaching things that everybody can use, just, as we're trying to grow and better relate with people around us, regardless of gender. Right. So that's good. Okay. No, I think this is good. And friends who are watching, are curious, do you know people, or have you known people in the past, maybe as you were growing up, who would benefit from going through a program like Project PAVE's? I'd be curious to know, and just simply like yes or no in the comments. Like let's make it that easy. It'll, you don't have to tell any stories or anything. Just yes or no. But I think we all probably know people who could benefit or could have as we were growing up through that. So I appreciate that, and Adam sharing about those two programs. Your story about the Broncos. I wasn't going to interrupt you as you were talking about that, because that was great and powerful, and you were on a roll. But it brought back a memory that was jogged way back in the back of my mind when I was a kid, and seeing the Broncos. And I think people today don't necessarily realize how much access you used to be able to have to NFL players, particularly around training camps. And so, there's only limited days now when you go over to Dove Valley where the public can go in. But back in the old days when they had two a day up at Greeley at University, University of Northern Colorado, you go up and you could spend the day and, see the players slugging it out there. But one lesson that I ran into from a Broncos player, so I can vouch that they are good at teaching little kids lessons in life, was I didn't know any better. I had a piece of paper, I had a pen, and I went up to one player, and I don't remember what his name was. My dad could tell you, and just like held the paper up, hoping to get his autograph, and he rightfully corrected me and said, "Hey, why don't you ask, please, and I'd be happy to sign it, but don't just stick it in my face." And it's like, this big, big dude. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, all right,
Yeah.
gotcha. Lesson learned, please and
Yes.
thank you. So,
Yeah.
just that simple lesson. But anyways, the Broncos are fabulous, and it's great that you're able to partner with them, and they're willing to open up to your organization and not just open the doors and the facilities and give you the time, but open up their hearts too, like you're saying. I mean, that's really powerful for those young men in that room to hear a coach open up like that. So
Yeah.
super cool.
You're exactly right. I think that the influence that mentors, coaches, public figures have on young people is really tremendous, and it can be such a wonderful tool of being able to bring about what we want to see happen. I mean, we've got no shortage of examples about how detrimental that can be, but there's so many folks who are within those spaces at the Broncos community, the coaches you were talking about, other adults who are around that want to be able to use that influence to help grow young people in a way that they have good experiences, they've got a solid sense of who they are, and they're contributing and happy and successful in our community. And we want to be able to tap into that. So we're really fortunate to be connected to the Broncos in that way, and the coaches and others. And where some folks might find it kind of surprising where they want to get into on a football team, for the most part, they're asking for us. Hey, when are the PAVE folks going to be back? When are they going to be in talking with our young people? Because we see it, we want to see it happen. And we'll just mention one last thing I forgot to mention. We were talking about the Brave Women program. The Broncos have been on board with that too. And in a different kind of way, we're working right now with their community office and the Broncos cheerleaders in terms of helping to develop. There's a summit that we'll be piloting with the Broncos coming up in January, bringing together young women from around the metro area with our team, folks from PAVE, mentors from other places, and they've just gotten behind it. So we're really excited to see where that can go. And hopefully the next time we get to connect, Aaron, I can share with you some more of the fun stories from that, or maybe we can have, Molly or other folks from our team come in and talk a little more directly about
That'd
it.
be great. No, I
it's
appreciate
exciting
that.
to see where that could grow.
Yeah. Boy, and the Broncos cheerleaders, I mean, those ladies will come in and they're going to have a lot of energy and great examples, So we're going to bring it. Cool.
It should be really fun. They've been excited about seeing it, and a little bit different of an avenue for them, to come in where they do a lot in terms of public representation for the organization and have definitely a persona that's out there. And what we're really hoping, and we see when we are able to get football players to kind of unpack that persona, but step back a little bit. me as a human being connecting with you, sharing we've got some common stories. You might see this, but let me tell you more about what's going on within, and sharing that those human moments together can really be powerful. And like you said, they live with us, from Greeley to where you're at
Yeah.
today. I mean, so the stuff sticks with you. So we're hoping to keep more of those kind of coming together, and hopefully we're able to do that through this year.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that. So, specific to Colorado Gives Day, is can you share what Project PAVE is doing around that? Is you guys have a specific campaign or initiative that you're doing? I know with Colorado Gives Day, there's a pot of money of people give into that. You can get a portion when they give through, I guess, the web page, and we'll put that back up.
Great.
You guys are eligible to get a portion of that funding, but in addition to that, are you guys doing anything specific around Colorado Gives Day?
We are. Thanks for the opportunity to share this, Aaron. Our focus with Carter's Gives Day really is kind of our centerpiece of what we look at for year end giving. A
Okay.
lot of organizations have a focus that way, but because we've been connected from Carter's Gives Day from the very first Colorado Gives Day, when there weren't all 3,000 that are there, but more of a handful for us, even up to this day, we found a really great platform. So what we've tried to do is identify, if you're able to give at different levels, what does that mean? So if I've got $100 to give, what could that turn into? And for us, we tried to really articulate that well, so people can know, like, hey, this is what I have to be able to give, or want to be able to. What can move this along? So
Yeah.
listed on that page are a couple different levels where people can say, hey, I want to sponsor a True Man session. So what does that look like? Well, that gives us the opportunity. You can see what that would be. I want to sponsor a session of therapy for somebody who's going through incidents of violence, that you can identify that there. So that's what we really try to focus on, is just to give people that tangible sense of, hey, what I have, and I've got some working out of a generous kind of place that a lot of the folks in Colorado are. How can I contribute? What does that look
Mhm.
like? I might not be there, and especially in the weirdness that we still maintain, I might even have the opportunity to be in person with someone, but I can identify, I can think through. It's like, okay, there's a young person who's going to get to talk with a great professional today to help work through the issues that they're dealing with, or somebody who's going to get in front of a group of young people. It's happening, going to be happening this spring, and I'm going to be a part of that. So we're going to try those links together. But that's really what we focus in on for Carter Gives Day, and are just excited
Okay.
to see what happens next week.
Cool. No, that's great. I appreciate that. So that's there. You can see on the right side of the page where the money might go if you're able to give those amounts. And you touch on it. Colorado is a generous community, and with the Community First Foundation putting this on, it's sponsored by First Bank, and they've grown this over the last several years into this kind of mammoth of a thing, and that's a good thing. I kind of poke fun at there being so many organizations, but that's a really good thing, and it
Yeah.
shows the generosity of the state. But if you're able to give $100, $500, if you can give $1,000 or $5,000, you are amazing.
Yeah.
So please consider that. But yeah, I say Colorado Gives Day. It's a day where we step up as a state by opening up our hearts and opening up our wallets, and contributing into our community. And I'll be honest, full disclosure, I have not given during Colorado Gives Day in the past, and I've seen on social media a lot of advertisements organizations are promoting. And I just haven't done it. But this year, I definitely am. And like I said, starting out, excited for this opportunity to spotlight a group like Project PAVE during this time, and realizing more now what the day is about, this one day campaign, what it's about, and how it helps groups like yours, want to help get behind that. So.
Great.
Yeah, for
Thanks,
friends that
Aaron.
are watching this, take a look at Project PAVE and what they're doing, and you can go to the coloradogives.org/Project PAVE, I believe is the address. Yep,
Yep.
and this is, I guess you would prefer that they go there to contribute as opposed to your website.
Either way, it
Yeah.
works
Okay.
well for us. I
Yeah.
think people are familiar with Carta Gives, and even if you don't know or remember the specific web address, if you put Project Pave, we pop up right there, so it's easy to get to. And I think one of the things that we do appreciate is the opportunity for the administrative costs and other things to be picked up on Carta Gives Day too. So it's helpful for us, even all those small pieces that come through. But we're definitely excited about it. And this year there's no supply chain issues with giving on Carter Gives Day. You don't have to worry about, hey, is it going to land in time for giving it to grandkids or whatever.
Right.
You can schedule it today. You can schedule it 2 a.m. and it happens. So yeah, hopefully you can make it in as folks are really contemplating what they want to do for this year. And it's a great time of year of giving, and it's a good thing for Colorado to be known about.
Well played, Adam. I like that. I like that. Okay, so real quick, I'm curious, how long have you been with Project Pave, and is there a story you can share, in your time there, where you look back on and you realize like your organization is making a difference in people's lives, that really stands out in your mind?
Oh, thanks, Aaron. So the beard was a little more brown than it is gray.
Sure.
So this is my 16th year at Project Pave.
Wow, that's awesome.
I lucked into the greatest job of my career, and have worked in a couple different aspects at PAVE, been executive director for just over 5 years. And I would say one that comes back to me pretty regularly is sharing through, and I'll share a story about one of our current staff leaders. So when we started a program related to working with high schoolers in particular, we did a lot of work at East High School early on.
Mm,
We still do great work at East High School in Denver's East High School. Still have great folks. Some of the youth educators that you saw on that page were from East High School. One of the captains of the football team from that group, Dylan's part of that group. But there was this
okay.
one young man named Andrew who, when he would finish on his classes, he would come over and hang at the Project Pave office. He was helped us get
Mm,
clubs started there. He joined our first group of youth educators, and got to know him and talk through a lot about his life, his experience, what he's seen in the community, and he had just such a great influence on young people. His peers, he would bring other friends over,
okay.
there, and was really one of those people who's just a connector of connectors. And so in some ways, when he graduated, we lost touch a little bit. Did some time in school, and was working, and a lot of other things with family coming up. So one of those folks that really had a pretty varied path after high school, and stayed in touch some with several of us at Project Pave. And we'd see him from time to time and check in with us. And he was always somebody who would talk about, hey, my time at Pave, the work that I did around building relationships, that's helped me in different places. Let me talk with you about it.
Mm,
I'm a team leader at where I work right now, and this is what it is. So
cool.
we kept in touch with him, and then reached out a little while ago, a couple of years ago, and said, "Hey, our coordinator for the youth educators program is moving on. Would you be interested in coming and in taking a look at the position?" And right now, I would say Andrew Trader Bankston, who's now our youth engagement coordinator, has been one of the fiercest advocates for helping to have young people have healthy relationships, and speaks from his own experience of,
Mm,
hey, as I learned some of these skills being connected to PAVE when I was in high school, now I want to carry those forward. And so he attributes a lot to the connections he made with other staff, with other young people, of saying, hey, this has given me a solid footing to have my own relationships, to be in healthier places, and to learn and to grow. And not only that, but it's given me some focus on what I want to do with my life and my career. And I'm all about connecting with other young people and giving them that opportunity. So I would say that's one of those that I'm just
cool.
like, my heart smiles every time I think of that. When I get a chance to, go have coffee or do a walk and talk with Andrew, I love every minute of it, because I remember
Sure.
when he was in high school and we could do some similar things. But now he's, a leader among young people, young adults, and also just making an incredible impact with the youth educators that we have and growing that program. So I couldn't be happier to be able to say that that's the kind of leadership that we're helping to develop within the community. And Andrew is going to be one of our leaders at Project Pave in lots of different ways for a long time to come. So it's
Cool.
exciting to be able to be
Mhm.
part of that story.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh,
For sure.
Cool. Well, one wrap up question that I like to ask before I let you go, and like love
Sure.
asking kind of all my guests. You've shared a lot about Project PAVE and what's going on there, but just kind of more broadly about Colorado. One of the things that I love to get people to talk about and share is, in their view, what makes Colorado so great. I mean, the secret's kind of gotten out, so we can't, you know,
Right.
close the state down anymore to people. But our communities are growing. But what is it from your point of view that really makes Colorado such a great place to live?
Hmm. What a great question, Aaron. I'd love to hear some other folks, responses to this too. But I think a couple things come to mind. I'll say flippantly, the sunshine and how much we get of it. I say it
Hmm.
flippantly, but it's very real
Yeah.
for me. But I would say more than anything else, it's that there's some spirit within the state that trying out something new, taking a risk, is worth doing. And I think that's been here for centuries,
Hmm.
long before Colorado became a state. There's something about being connected to this land that we are a part of, that we are blessed to be able to call our home today. There's something about it. Taking risks is all right. It's worth doing it. And you may not get to where you thought you would be,
Hmm.
but that risk may open up something else entirely new. And I think that's something I just love about the state. And you just see like all different sectors. So I think in nonprofit sector, the fact that Colorado Gives Day started in Colorado and now they have similar things all across the state and other places,
Right.
within the world, just kind of tells us that way. So if you got a wild hair idea, Colorado is a good place to come and to give it a try. And people are willing to dive in and to do that with you. And definitely we benefit from that, at Project PAVE for sure. But that's one of the things I love about being in Colorado. Yeah.
That's a great response. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think Colorado, it's kind of that frontier spirit, and it's kind of a hardy place to live. It's yes, we have all of this beautiful sun, and I've got to go out and put some water on my grass that's dying. But on the other hand, you get 3 feet of snow, and you got to contend with that. So you get the extremes. But it's a hardy place to live, but I think it opens up people to that freedom to exploring who they are and what they want to do. And
Yeah.
to your point, coming in and doing that. And so, yeah, it's a great place to live, and you're right on. So, um, yeah. So very good. Okay. So, is there anything else that you want to share that I've not asked about before I let you go?
Gosh, great
Yeah.
question, Aaron. Nothing
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
say other than, I just want to say thanks for being willing to make connections.
Absolutely.
For people within Colorado and thinking through. I think a lot of folks will see the billboards or the ads on there and just like, what's it about? And being able to connect those more in-depth stories, I think means a lot, to us. And we're a small organization and not necessarily
Mhm.
one that gets as big of an audience at times. And I think it makes a big difference when folks like yourself are willing to make those connections out there. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. No, it's my pleasure. Happy to do so. And like I said, I want to help promote organizations that have a focus on children in particular this year. I guess I'm in that season of life here as a dad, and got a high schooler, got a first grader, and some in between that,
Mhm.
it's recognize the importance of, pouring energy into the lives of children and what you guys are doing. And so when I see that, I want to help elevate that. And that's part of why I started this whole thing. So happy to do so. I look forward to staying connected with you, Adam, and
Would love it.
love to hear more about what Project PAVE is doing in 2022. Hopefully, we can connect then and take the discussion even deeper. How does that
Will
sound?
do. I
Okay.
would I would love that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
So,
Aaron.
okay, so
Yeah, thank you.
folks, before I let you go, just go coloradogives.org/Project PAVE, and there's where you can give. So, hey, Adam, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for taking some time here, being generous with your time. And I'm going to wrap up here and I wish you guys luck during Colorado Gives Day. It's Tuesday, and
That's right.
hope it's better than last year, more successful. So
Great. Thanks so much,
awesome.
Aaron. Yeah,
Thank you.
great to be with
Mhm.
you.
Talk
Yep.
to you later. All right, folks, there he goes. Thank you so much, Adam Evans from Project PAVE. So appreciate him giving the time. There again is their logo. Appreciate him giving me time to chat about the good work that they're doing and really pouring into the lives of kids through their programs. He touched on a couple, and they got more really worthwhile organizations. So I hope that you consider giving to Project PAVE during Colorado Gives Day. Now, briefly, I want to share a little bit about myself and what I'm doing here in this live stream. So I started this live stream earlier this year with the intention of doing this exact thing, and that is focusing on people who I say elevate Colorado, people like Adam, and groups like Project PAVE that are rolling up their sleeves to help our communities and help people that are in need. Because I think there's a lot of great stories that are out there, and with all of the negativity that's going on in social media, it's easy to overlook all of the good things that are going on in our community. Because I think we've got neighbors that are really helping out, and they deserve credit. So let's keep the focus on that. I have been very fortunate over the year here to have done other interviews with people and other organizations who've shared about what they're doing in Colorado. From recent interview with a wonderful woman who's been helping out immigrants in our community, a group down in Woodland Park that is helping cleaning up our public lands or forests. And it's not just cleaning up the forests, but helping people that are living in the forest as well, as it turns out. So that was a fascinating discussion. And others as well, talking with a local coroner about suicide prevention this fall during Suicide Prevention Month. So those are some of the things that I've been doing, and look forward to doing more in the next couple of months. Of course, as every content creator would love for you to do, to like and subscribe to their stuff. That would be amazing. I, of course, would appreciate if you did so. But more important than building the subscriber numbers is connecting with these people and helping share their stories and getting participation from people such as yourself who tune in to engage in those conversations as well. So if that is something that you're interested in, please, you know what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button down below, and let's stay connected. Okay, so with that, I will let you go. Appreciate you taking time to hang out. Appreciate Adam Evans of Project PAVE for being generous with his time. I wish them luck during Colorado Gives Day this year, and other organizations as well. I hope that you, friends, will consider contributing to Project PAVE and checking them out as you contribute this year. So I'm Aaron Johnson with Mile High Live. That is what is good in Colorado. Thanks for joining me.